I've been a personal trainer for years, and before that, I worked in rehab. So I have a lot of different information, stories I want to tell you guys, so I'm going to start this new series with
What it's like to be a trainer.
here I want to give you the behind the scenes of what good training actually looks like, what horrible clients kind of look like, and just everything in between. First, I'd like to talk about one of the earliest clients I've ever had. I had just started in the gym, and my manager had given me this long-term client. They wanted to lose 80 pounds. That's something that's not a very small feat. But upon having my initial assessment, that's the first session that you usually get with a personal trainer. Should be for free, just to let you know. Upon meeting this person, it was very instant where I knew that this person just wanted something really quick. I had a conversation with them, and this was in September, and I said, what are your long-term goals? What's been training like for you in the past? They said that they've had personal training and that they've lost a bunch of weight before. So I was like, okay, great. Well, what was that experience like? And they told me that, they were on some specific meal prep company, like meal prep subscription. They wanted to lose all 80 pounds by Halloween. And I just could not. I was like, whoa, man, you'd have to eat like literally so little each day. Your caloric deficit would just be dangerous. That's not something that's, acceptable for long term, maybe real short term, but you can't do that really quickly. I just can't support something like that. But he was really adamant. He was like, no, I've done it before. I just need someone to help me work out. I was like, all right, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's see how these first few sessions go. So first session, another quip that he had is that he did not like to work out in front of other people. And I can be accommodating for that for sure. Like, I think of myself as a pretty adjustable trainer. So I was able to take some dumbbells and some kettlebells, and we went into one of the extra rooms where no one was at. But even in there, he just still felt that people were watching him, which I don't understand why. There was no real way to actually see into where we were at, but he was extremely uncomfortable. And every exercise hurt. So I would try to do just like floor presses. Those hurt. And I was like, okay, well then let's switch to knee push-ups. Let's switch, wall push-ups. Everything hurt. And so I really was trying to be as nice as possible with this guy. He was having this really big goal, and I'm trying to be as accommodating as possible, but he just wasn't willing to like actually put in the work. See, a couple things with like weight loss, right? For fat loss specifically, you need to build muscle in order to lose fat. At rest, when we have more muscle, use more energy throughout our day, therefore faster metabolism. When you try to lose that much weight at like that quick amount of time, 80 pounds in 30 days, you could have muscle loss, your metabolism can slow down, your hormones are going to get all thrown off. There's a whole lot of problems that go with it, and not for nothing, I feel like this guy has just the completely wrong idea of what personal training was for. We try to work on a couple things, changing our habits. I was trying to get him to understand that this is a little bit of a longer process, but it will be good for him in the long run. He'll be able to keep all that weight off. But he did not want to listen to a thing I had to say, unfortunately. He was still eating kind of the same way he was. The lifestyle didn't change. He was, I guess, big on like drinking and partying and stuff. And I was like, hey man, everybody can enjoy a drink or two, but you gotta kind of slow that down if you're trying to lose 80 pounds. So unfortunately, this was the first client I'd ever had, but I had to give him up to my fitness manager because I was like, he's not listening to me. And that just could have been, my approach to it. I would try to come through it as like nice as possible. But sometimes, it just doesn't match up the quality of training to what somebody really wants. And that's okay. I was not going to sell him on the idea that I was going to help him lose that much weight in that little of time because it's unrealistic. It's just bad advice from any kind of trainer if they think that they can without there being any kind of repercussions. Like, a lot of trainers will sell that idea and be like, yeah, absolutely, take your money, and then just not be able to help you. I'm definitely not one of those people. I wanted to help him, but he was not willing to do the right steps or listen, and that's completely fine. All in all, my job is not to give necessarily people what they want, but to help them know what actually works. I wish I could just have people just take a pill and they lose weight, or they just show up to the gym 3 times a week and they lose weight. That's not it at all. Like, exercise is like, if you think about 1 hour in a 24 hours, like that's 3 hours, and I can't do the quick math, but it's very minimal. You have to work on all the other stuff as well if you're really trying to lose fat, for the long term. And if you're on a fat loss journey or you're on some other kind of fitness journey, gaining muscle, body recomposition, whatever you'd like, just make sure that you know that it takes time. That's what the basis of this all is to say, right? Make sure that you have a professional that is actually willing to say no to you for a couple of things, because sometimes not everything is a compromise. Sometimes it's just like 1 + 1 = 2. There's no in between. And this is just like one of the few stories that I have. I have a plethora of different stories in my years of different clients and stuff. So this is what it's like to be a trainer. If you guys like this series, go ahead and give me a follow and follow up with my next video.